Hi, I'm Father Anthony Hannon from Enviam Patches, and this is To Prepare His Way. This is January the 17th, 2022. On this day, the Catholic Church celebrates the memorial of one of my namesake patrons, St. Anthony of the Desert. And he's a special patron of mine, not only because of my name, but because I am living what I call the semi-eremitic or semi-hermit life. Even though I'm a diocesan priest, this is the way that I'm living. I don't think I've been tempted in the same way and struggled with the demons in the same way as St. Anthony of the Desert. But I'm out here in the middle of the Canadian wilderness. I happen to be in a trailer today in the middle of a snowstorm. It's actually very early in the morning, about 4 in the morning right now. And at an undisclosed location, okay? And anyway, I need to do a video. It's been almost a month since I've done a video. Sorry about that. I've been trying to do a video kind of on this topic, but now something's happened that has kind of precipitated that I have to do it, even if it's not going to come out perfect, if you know what I mean. When I've been trying to do this video, I just look at it and I say, I don't think it's going to be well received, and maybe this won't be well received. Anyway, what happened is that my bishop made a policy effective today, January the 17th, in all the parishes in the diocese that mask exemptions will no longer be tolerated at Mass or adoration or anything like that. So a number of people have reached out to me. I expect people to try to reach me today. I'm really not going to be available today. Sorry about that. And this week, people reached out to me even on Saturday because they got word of it before their parish priest was able to announce it on Sunday. People are calling in distress to me. They're very upset. Some are very angry and hurt and rejected, and understandably so. Understandably so. This video is not against my bishop, by the way. I have a great deal of sympathy for my bishop and for all bishops, quite frankly. The men who are bishops. Because they really don't have the skill set to meet our expectations. And I'd like to explain that in this video. You see, from day one, when a man goes into the seminary, he starts being formed to be a follower, not a leader. I mean, I don't think it's intended. I think it's an inadvertent consequence of all sorts of factors. But a man answers the call of Jesus to become a priest. He applies to a diocese or religious community. Things start falling into place. He's accepted to the seminary. But sometimes he's told by a well-intentioned priest, or sometimes he just figures it out. If I'm going to be part of the solution and get ordained, then I need to watch my P's and Q's. I need to keep my mouth shut about certain things. And I'm not talking about scandalous things. No one ever approached me with whatever what. Probably they knew they wouldn't get any further. I'd go right to the rector and I'd tell the whole world if the rector didn't listen to me. And they might get a punch in the nose as well. But no, I'm not talking about scandals. I'm just talking about, watching your P's and Q's, that you're not argumentative, that you're pleasant, you're agreeable, that you're not rigid. You've heard some of these things. The problem is that after spending 5 or 6 years in the major seminary, the newly ordained priest has a habit of keeping his mouth shut. He has a habit of ignoring the elephant or the elephants in the room and not addressing the problems squarely. We're told that if we're going to make any changes in a parish, you better go through your parish council, your pastoral council of laity, of parishioners. And you better get the consensus of your parishioners as well. In other words, nothing's going to get changed. Nonetheless, a newly ordained priest, he sees the liturgical problems when he gets into his new assignment. He remembers that he wanted to be part of the solution. So he tries to address some of the problems, some of the contentious moral issues that he knows are not normally dealt with in homilies. He tries to teach articles of faith in the homilies. Perhaps he tries to make some corrective in an institution that has a Catholic name, but is not all that Catholic. Well, what happens? People complain about him to the bishop. So he gets called down to the bishop's office to meet with the bishop or to one of his vicars, and it's assumed that he did something wrong, even though he didn't really do anything wrong. Well, they assume that because he's a new priest, he hasn't honed the pastoral skills, the pastoral sensitivities that he will surely grow into. Well, the new priest, he just learns he's going to keep his mouth shut for a few more years. Maybe he'll be named a parish priest, that is, in Canada we call them pastors. And then maybe he'll be able to effect some change and be part of the solution. But what happens? He's got 3 or 4 more years of keeping his mouth shut, ignoring the problems. Doesn't mean he can't do it, but it's become a new habit. And he's an older man now. Okay. Well, here's the real inside baseball. And I could be wrong here, but I don't think I am. Bishops are chosen from amongst priests, so those priests who are chosen to put their names forward to the nuncio of any given country so that they might be chosen to be bishops. These priests are chosen because they basically didn't get any complaints about them. They haven't made any enemies. In other words, they never tried to face the problems square on. They didn't ruffle feathers. See, because the bishops see themselves as peacemakers, and they ought to be. I would say that's part of their responsibilities. Let's face it, the church has all sorts of factions within it. And in any given diocese, there's all sorts of different ideas of what a parish should be, what a priest should be, how liturgy should be. Many people have been taught a false gospel. And how to engage in the world is all different. It's all messed up. So the bishop is the father of the diocese, the father of his flock. He's trying to keep the siblings from going after each other at each other's throat. They don't want to suggest a priest to be a bishop who's going to be a bull in a china shop and create divisions. No, they want peacemakers. But, I kind of see it more as people-pleasing and placating than peacemaking. But that's the reality. And that's why I say the bishops and most of the parish priests don't have it in their skill set to be able to stand up to the government and stand up for you. What should people do in my diocese or in a similar situation and you don't wear a mask, either for medical reasons or for conscience reasons? Well, you've got a few options, right? You could just not go. That's a possibility. The bishop has given dispensation for the Sunday Mass obligation. That's not a dispensation, by the way, for make holy the Lord's Day, but you're dispensed from going to Mass. You could go to Mass anyway, and if you get kicked out, just stay in the parking lot and pray your prayers there. Maybe after everyone goes, you could go knock on the door of the rectory or the church office and say, Father, could I please receive Holy Communion? I've been praying in the parking lot. That's one thing you could do. You could submit, go to Mass and do yourself some self-harm and violate your conscience. Don't do that. Don't do that. Don't violate your conscience, and don't do self-harm. Father, forgive them. They do not know what they are doing with these ridiculous orders and zero tolerance. You could go then and maybe you get into the church, maybe on a weekday or something. There's no guards, And boy, my heart goes out to you. This last couple of years have been terrible. Instead of, on the way to Mass, you're examining your conscience, or you're, looking forward to worshiping God, we're looking forward to even some fellowship. Instead of that, you're walking on eggshells and knots in your stomach, walking up the church steps, wondering what you're going to see when you open the doors. Where's your mask? I got to take your temperature. Sign in. The government needs to know who's here. Man. If you show up at Mass and you're able to take a seat and you have your beautiful face shining before God and for all to see, don't be surprised if the priest comes out and sees you at the back and says, excuse me, could you put a mask on, please? And you're like, no. Okay, everyone, there's no public Mass today because that person's not wearing a mask. Imagine that. I would hope, it would be nice, I think it's wishful thinking, but it'd be nice if your fellow parishioners would stand up for you. Say, oh, Father, it's okay. We're not afraid. We're not afraid. Don't worry about it. Not going to happen. Too many people have bought the narrative. They're afraid. What are they going to do? Call the police? I don't know. I'm not telling you to do any of these things. I don't know. Why is the church going along with this? Why are the bishops going along with this? They missed this golden opportunity. They've lost all their credibility now. Or they will very, very shortly when the truth comes out about all the scam. To help you maybe not have resentments, I'm gonna put this for your consideration. Do you think that the cancer rate amongst Catholics is any different than the cancer rate of the population as a whole? Or the rest of the population? I don't think so. Do you think the rate of diabetes is any different? I don't think so. Do you think the rate of heart disease is any different? No. Pretty much any sickness? I don't think so. Do you think the rate of alcoholism is any different in the Catholic Church than the rest of the population? I don't think so. Codependency? I don't think so. Maybe more. Let me kind of switch gears here. Do you think the IQ rate is higher amongst Catholics than the rest of the population? I doubt it. I don't think so. Most of the population has been susceptible to the propaganda, the subliminal messaging, the hypnosis, the TV news, whatever it is. Or else they don't really have what it takes in their skill set to swim against the stream, to be the only one in the store, to be able to smile at people. So why should it surprise us that Catholics in general would also be susceptible to the propaganda? There's a saying, you can't con a con. You know, a con artist needs good people who are maybe a little bit naive or gullible. And, you know, maybe all these people who bought the narrative, maybe they're just good people. They couldn't imagine that any human being on earth, let alone a bunch of them, could do things so evil that you and I can see are being done. Though maybe they're better people than you and me. I just don't think it's a question of religion and faith, of who's awake and who has bought the narrative. It's tempting. It's tempting to say their faith isn't very strong. That's why they're afraid. But I think they're just susceptible. There's a good portion of the population are susceptible to hypnosis or whatever. But for the grace of God, there go I. You realize that some of them are tempted to look at us and think, I thought they were real Christians or real Catholics. Turns out they're just selfish. We need to stop being each other's enemies. Some people are in denial. We're not going to argue it out of them. But there is light at the end of the tunnel, and it could be coming pretty quick. I hope it's not a train. But there's cracks in the agenda. And these social engineers, they're not God. They don't account for human free will. They just think we're all material. They don't understand we're spirit as well. They don't understand that free will is a faculty of the soul. They don't understand our creativity. They think that if they have enough statistics on us, they can, make a computer program and artificial intelligence to learn and etc. and algorithms so that we are predictable. No. Oh, we're creatures of habit. But we don't have to be predictable. And these cracks, these lies that you and I, most of us, have seen for a long time now and have been accused of being crackpot, tinfoil conspiracy theorists, are now making their way into mainstream media. Some very, very basic questions, and more people are going to wake up. And the governments are going to lose all their credibility, and public health officials can lose all their credibility, and unfortunately, bishops and priests are going to lose all their credibility. I wish it were different, but it's not. Okay, I hope in some way this video helps you. Let the change begin with you. Nobody else has to change for you to be free. May Almighty God bless each and every one of you. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Go in peace. Be part of the solution. Stop enabling if you've been enabling. And live free.